explosive hook and immediate stakes, the diplomatic quarters in full lockdown, and somehow a human child just triggered a level 9 cultural violation with a stuffed bear. According to YouTube analytics, 98% of viewers are not subscribed. That's a huge number. By subscribing the channel that is completely free, Station Commander Wei's words hung in the air of the Emergency Operations Center like a death sentence. Around the tactical display, every face had gone pale except for Jennifer Rodriguez, who just looked confused. "I'm sorry, you're saying my daughter did what with a teddy bear?" Jennifer asked, still in her teaching clothes from the station's school wing, now flanked by 2 very nervous security officers. 512 warships, Commander. The sensor officer's voice cracked. Krathari battle configuration. They're demanding coordinates for a single human juvenile. Wei pulled up the holographic display, and Jennifer's stomach dropped. The approaching fleet looked like a swarm of angry hornets, each dot representing a vessel capable of glassing a small moon. Every single ship was broadcasting the same message in the Krathari's harsh, clicking language. "They want Mia." Jennifer's protective instincts kicked in immediately. "She's 8 years old. What could she possibly—" "Mrs. Rodriguez," the cultural liaison, a nervous Centaurian named Pelix, interrupted. His scales had gone from their usual blue to a sickly gray. "Yesterday, at 1400 hours station time, your daughter was recorded approaching a Krathari child in the observation deck." "Zilax, yes, he was crying and alone. Mia gave him her stuffed bear because—" Every alien in the room made various sounds of horror. Pelix actually staggered backward. "She touched a Krathari youngling?" Ambassador Thorin, the Veloxian diplomat who'd been mediating first contact with the Krathari, looked like he might pass out. Direct physical proximity, made contact with their sacred offspring. Sacred? He was a little kid sitting by himself crying. Jennifer's teacher voice came out, the one she used when adults were being ridiculous. "My daughter saw another child in distress and helped. That's what human children do. That's what might start the first war humanity's ever been involved in." Wei brought up security footage on the main screen. There was Mia, all of 4 feet tall with her hair in pigtails, approaching a young Krathari. The alien child was indeed alone, his reptilian features contorted in what even Jennifer could recognize as misery. The Krathari were massive, even their children. Zilax stood nearly 5 feet tall, covered in bronze scales with small horns just beginning to emerge from his skull. In the footage, Mia walked right up to him without hesitation, said something, then held out her worn teddy bear, the one she'd had since she was 3. Zilax had taken it, clutching it to his chest. "Do you understand what the Krathari are?" Thorn was pacing now, his 4 arms gesturing wildly. "They've conquered 47 systems. Their warrior culture is built on strength, honor, and absolute emotional control. Their children are raised in isolation, trained from birth to be the next generation of the most feared military force in 3 sectors. Outsiders don't approach them. Ever. It's their most fundamental law." "Well, nobody told Mia that," Jennifer shot back. "And frankly, what kind of culture leaves children alone to cry?" "The kind that's about to arrive here with enough firepower to turn this station into atoms," Wei said grimly. "Fleet ETA, 5 hours, 42 minutes. Station evacuation is already underway." "Evacuation?" Jennifer's blood ran cold. "Where's Mia now?" "Secure location with the other human children," one of the security officers assured her. "But Mrs. Rodriguez, the Krathari are demanding her specifically. They keep broadcasting coordinates that lead directly to her. They're tracking her somehow." "The bear," Pelix whispered, his scales now almost white. "Oh, stars! It must have taken the child's scent from the bear. Krathari can track genetic signatures across vast distances. That's how they found their young one after... He couldn't seem to finish. "After what?" Jennifer demanded. Ambassador Thorin's voice was hollow. "Commander Korvax's mate, Zilax's mother, was killed in battle 3 cycles ago. The child was struggling with the grief, showing weakness, By Krathari standards, he was failing his training. Korvax brought him to these negotiations as a last resort, hoping new environments might harden him. Instead, your daughter committed the greatest taboo in their culture. She showed compassion to a warrior's child. She acknowledged his pain. So Mia saw a grieving kid and was kind to him, and now we're facing interstellar war? Jennifer's voice rose. That's insane. That's the Krathari, Wei said quietly, and their lead ship just dropped out of FTL early. They're here. The tactical display updated. One massive carrier, easily twice the size of any other vessel in the fleet, had materialized at the system's edge. Its IFF tag made Pelix whimper. War Master Vexthul's flagship, Supreme Commander, Krathari War Fleet. They sent their Supreme Commander, Thorin said, voice distant. For one human child and a stuffed bear. This isn't just a cultural violation response. This is... The comm system crackled to life. A deep, resonant voice filled with barely controlled fury spoke in perfect, if harshly accented, galactic common. This is Commander Korvax of the Krathari Empire. I am Zilax's father. You will produce the human juvenile immediately. No harm will come to your station if you comply within 1 standard hour. Refuse, and I will reduce this structure to its component atoms with my son and your child still aboard. I will not have my bloodline contaminated by alien weakness. Jennifer felt ice in her veins. He's threatening to kill his own son. And yours, Wei confirmed, and everyone on this station. Mrs. Rodriguez, I need to know. Is there anything else your daughter did? Anything at all that might help us understand what we're dealing with? Jennifer thought back to last night when Mia had come home chattering excitedly about her new friend Zilax, and how he'd promised to take care of Mr. Snuggles, the teddy bear, and how they'd talked about his mom, and how Mia told him it was okay to be sad because her grandmother had died last year, and she still cried sometimes. She told him it was okay to cry, Jennifer said quietly. She shared her own grief with him. She made him feel less alone. The room went dead silent. Oh no, Pelix breathed. Oh no, no, no. She didn't just break their taboo. She shattered their fundamental worldview. She showed a Krathari warrior child that vulnerability can be met with kindness instead of punishment. And now 500 ships full of warriors are here because an 8-year-old human girl gave a grieving alien child a teddy bear and a hug. Wei's laugh was slightly hysterical. How do we even begin to explain human compassion to a species built on emotional suppression? We have 53 minutes to figure it out, Thorin said, or we're all dead. Jennifer looked at the fleet on the screen, then at the footage of her daughter's simple act of kindness, frozen on the display. Then I need to talk to Commander Korvax, she said firmly, right now. Commander Korvax didn't wait for docking procedures. His assault shuttle burned through 3 safety protocols and clamped onto the station's diplomatic bay with enough force to shake the deck plating. Jennifer watched through the observation window as the airlock cycled, her heart hammering. Mrs. Rodriguez, please stay behind the security barrier, Wei urged, but his voice lacked conviction. They all knew barriers meant nothing to the Krathari. The airlock opened. Korvax emerged first, 8 feet of muscle, scales, and barely suppressed rage. His bronze armor was etched with kill marks that Jennifer really wished she couldn't count. Behind him, 6 elite warriors fanned out in perfect combat formation, each one carrying weapons that probably violated 17 galactic conventions. Where is my son? Korvax's voice could have cut steel. Where is the human contamination? Commander, if we could discuss, Ambassador Thorin began. Now. Wei gestured helplessly toward the diplomatic family quarters. The entire group moved as one. Jennifer swept along in their wake by sheer momentum. Her security escort had quietly abandoned any pretense of controlling the situation. They reached the suite where the Krathari delegation had been housed. Korvax hit the door controls hard enough to crack them. The door slid open. Inside, on a meditation platform designed for Krathari physiognomy, Zilax was curled up sleeping. His small chest rose and fell peacefully. Clutched in his arms, looking absurdly tiny against his bronze scales, was Mr. Snuggles the teddy bear. Korvax froze mid-step. Behind him, his warriors made sounds like grinding rocks, confusion in their harsh language. "Zilax should be in distress," one warrior muttered. "Combat protocols require—" "I know what protocols require," Korvax snapped, but he didn't move. He stood there, this massive warrior who'd conquered star systems, staring at his peacefully sleeping son like he'd never seen the child before. "Hi!" Everyone spun. Mia had somehow slipped past the entire security cordon and stood in the doorway, still in her school uniform, grinning up at 8 feet of apex predator. "Mia!" Jennifer lunged forward, but Korvax was faster. He moved between them with combat speed, weapon systems on his armor activating with audible clicks. "You." His eyes, triple-lidded and golden, fixed on Mia. "You are the contamination." "I'm Mia," she corrected him cheerfully, completely unfazed by the warrior looming over her. "Is Zilax okay? I wanted to check on him. He was really sad yesterday." The Krathari warriors exchanged glances. One of them spoke rapidly in their native tongue. Korvax responded without taking his eyes off Mia, his tone sharp. "My son does not experience sadness," Korvax said, each word precise and cold. "He is Krathari. He is being trained in the warrior's path. Your interference has violated protocols that are older than your species." "But he was crying," Mia said, with the devastating logic of 8-year-olds everywhere. "I saw him. He was sitting all alone and crying and nobody was helping him. So I gave him Mr. Snuggles because Mr. Snuggles always makes me feel better when I'm sad." "Commander," Ambassador Thorin stepped forward, arms spread in supplication. "We deeply apologize for this cultural violation. We're prepared to offer significant compensation, territorial concessions, technology sharing, whatever the Krathari Empire deems." "Can Zilax keep Mr. Snuggles?" Mia interrupted, looking past Korvax to where his son still slept. "Because he seemed really sad, and I think he needs Mr. Snuggles more than I do right now. My mom says when people are grieving, they need extra kindness." The room went so quiet Jennifer could hear her own heartbeat. Korvax's expression, already difficult to read on reptilian features, became completely unreadable. "You gave away your possession?" The words came out slowly, like he was translating a language that shouldn't exist. "To strengthen a rival's offspring?" "Zilax isn't my rival, he's my friend," Mia said, looking confused. "And Mr. Snuggles isn't just mine anymore. He's Zilax's too. That's how sharing works." One of the Krathari warriors made a sound like steam escaping. Another's weapon lowered slightly, as if the hand holding it had forgotten its purpose. "This makes no tactical sense," Korvax said, but his voice had changed. The fury was still there, but underneath it, something else. Something that sounded almost like bewilderment. "You gain no advantage. You strengthen a potential competitor. You display emotional vulnerability to an unknown species. Your behavior violates every principle of survival." "She's a child," Jennifer finally found her voice, stepping up beside her daughter. "Human children don't think in terms of tactics and survival. They think in terms of right and wrong, and watching another child suffer alone is wrong." "He was crying and alone," Mia repeated, and now her voice held that stubborn tone Jennifer knew all too well. "That's not okay. It doesn't matter if he's human or Krathari or anything else. Kids shouldn't have to be sad by themselves." Zilax stirred on the platform, making a small sound. Still asleep, he clutched the teddy bear tighter. Korvax's head swiveled to his son, then back to Mia, then to Jennifer. "You teach your offspring to prioritize the emotional states of strangers over tactical advantage?" "We teach our children empathy," Jennifer said. "We teach them that caring for others isn't weakness, it's what makes us human." "Impossible," one of the warriors breathed. "No species could survive with such compassion," Jennifer offered. "Vulnerability," the warrior corrected. "And yet," Korvax said slowly, his eyes still on his sleeping son. Your species survived long enough to reach the stars, to stand here, to produce offspring who approach Krathari warriors without fear. He looked at Mia again. You were not afraid. Why? Mia shrugged. Why would I be afraid? You're Zilax's dad. He showed me your picture yesterday. He said you're the bravest warrior in the whole empire. She paused, tilting her head. But I think maybe he just needs you to be his dad more than his commander sometimes. That's what he was crying about. He misses his mom, and he misses you too, even though you're right there. The silence that followed could have swallowed a son. Korvax's weapon systems powered down. He stood there, this warrior who'd made entire civilizations surrender at the mention of his name, and his hands, clawed and deadly, began to shake. He stopped, started again. I brought him here to harden him, to burn out the weakness that has plagued him since his mother fell in battle, to make him worthy of our bloodline. He's 6, Jennifer said softly. He's not weak, he's grieving. There's a difference. The Krathari do not grieve. We honor our fallen and continue the fight. Then maybe, Mia said, in that way children have of cutting through complexity to simple truth, the Krathari have been doing it wrong. 3 of the warriors' weapons came back up. Korvax raised one hand, stopping them. He stared at Mia for a long moment, this tiny human child who just called his entire culture wrong to his face without a hint of fear. I need to contact War Master Vexthul, he said finally. Immediately. He paused, searching for words. This is beyond my authority to resolve. Oh, good, Mia brightened. Is he nice? Does he like cookies? My mom packed extra for lunch, and sharing food is a really good way to— Mrs. Rodriguez, Korvax interrupted, his voice strange. What have you done to your offspring to make them like this? Jennifer looked at her daughter, who was now asking one of the terrifying elite warriors if his armor was heavy and if he ever got itchy inside it. I loved her, Jennifer said simply. I taught her to be kind. That's all. Korvax's expression did something complicated. That's all, he repeated. Then, to his warriors, establish priority channel to the War Master's flagship, full encryption, and someone— please explain to the human child that cookies are not standard diplomatic protocol. They should be, Mia said confidently. Everything's better with cookies. Against all odds, one of the Krathari warriors made a sound that might have been a laugh. Phase 3, System Breakdown. War Master Vexthul didn't just arrive. He made an entrance that rewrote the station's threat assessment protocols. His flagship's fighter escort alone numbered 40 vessels. When he materialized in the docking bay via personal teleportation, a technology the Krathari never shared, the deck plating cracked under the energy discharge. He was massive even by Krathari standards, easily 9 feet tall. His black scales shot through with veins of silver that marked him as one of the Eternal Guard, warriors who'd survived 100 battles. His honor guard consisted of 12 of the most decorated killers in known space. Station Commander Wei had cleared an entire conference hall. Security forces lined every wall. Ambassador Thorin had prepared a formal apology, written in the most deferential Krathari dialect. The human diplomatic corps had assembled 3 different compensation packages, each worth more than a small planet's GDP. War Master Vexthul ignored all of it. He strode directly to where Korvax stood at attention, Zilax now awake and clinging to his father's leg, still clutching the teddy bear. Explain. Vexthul's voice resonated like a war drum. 500 warships mobilized, the council demanding answers, all because of one human juvenile and a primitive textile construct. What blood debt must be paid here, Commander? War Master, Hi, are you the War Master? Every weapon in the room tracked to Mia, who ducked under a security officer's arm and was walking straight toward Vexthul with her backpack bouncing. Mia, no! Jennifer started forward, but Korvax's hand shot out, stopping her. His expression was strange, like he needed to see what happened next. I brought extra juice boxes because Mom says meetings are really boring for grown-ups, and I bet they're boring for War Masters too. Mia held up an apple juice box complete with tiny straw. Do you want one? I have grape too, but apple's better. Vexthul stared down at her. His honor guard had gone completely still, as if moving might shatter reality itself. In 300 years of military service across 52 conquered systems, nothing, absolutely nothing, had prepared the War Master for this moment. You! His voice actually faltered. You're addressing me directly. Yeah, I'm Mia. She waggled the juice box. So do you want it or not? Because Zilax looks thirsty too, and I only brought 4. Children do not address the War Master, one of the honor guard hissed. Children do not even look upon the War Master. This is foundational law. That's a weird law, Mia said, frowning. How are kids supposed to ask for help if they can't talk to people in charge? Vexthul's triple-lidded eyes closed, then opened. Commander Korvax, explain why this human offspring is still speaking. Because, War Master, Korvax said carefully, I believe you need to hear what she says. I believe we all do. Vexthul's head swiveled to his subordinate. In that look passed 1,000 questions, but he gave the slightest nod. Proceed. Mia, oblivious to the monumental breach of protocol occurring, turned to Zilax. Hey, you're awake. Is Mr. Snuggles helping? Did you sleep okay? Zilax made a small sound and nodded, pressing the teddy bear closer. Good. Do you want to play a game? I know you're probably still sad, but sometimes playing helps a little bit. She looked back at Vexthul. My little brother Tommy gets sad sometimes too. He's only 5. When he's sad, I share my toys and we play together until he feels better. It doesn't make the sad go away completely, but it makes it smaller. Your sibling, Vexthul said slowly, as if the word tasted foreign. You care for a younger member of your family unit? Well, yeah, he's my brother. Sometimes he's annoying, but when he's sad, I help him. That's what big kids do. Mia said it like it was the most obvious thing in the universe. Impossible, one of the honor guard whispered. Their young are not segregated by age cohorts. They interact across developmental stages. The Krathari do not operate in this manner, Vexthul said, but his tone had shifted. He was no longer commanding, he was trying to understand. Our offspring are separated at birth, raised in training cohorts of identical age, taught that strength is individual, that emotional attachment is weakness, that only the hardest survive. That sounds really lonely, Mia said, and several Krathari actually flinched. It is not lonely, Vexthul countered. It is efficient. It produces the finest warriors in known space. But Zilax was crying. Mia's voice was gentle but firm. He was sitting all by himself, crying because his mom died, and nobody was helping him. Nobody was even there. That's not efficient. That's just mean. He was demonstrating weakness, one of the honor guard said, but the words lacked conviction. By Krathari standards, he was failing his training. Emotional control is the foundation of... He's 6, Mia's teacher-daughter voice came out, the one she'd learned from Jennifer. He's a little kid whose mom died. Of course he's sad. Being sad about that isn't weakness. It means he loved her. The word loved landed in the room like a grenade. We do not use such terms, Vexthul said stiffly. Why not? Because love is a vulnerability. An enemy can exploit it, use it against you. Or, Jennifer said, stepping forward carefully, love is what gives you a reason to fight in the first place. War Master, humans have been to war. Many times. We understand combat, but we also understand that the strongest warriors aren't the ones who feel nothing. They're the ones who have something worth protecting. Vexthul's eyes narrowed. You claim emotional attachment creates strength? I claim, Jennifer said, that teaching children they're alone in the universe creates trauma, not warriors. Mia helps her little brother because I taught her that protecting those who are vulnerable isn't weakness. It's the most important thing she can do. Demonstrate, Vexthul commanded suddenly. Show me this. Human childhood you speak of. Mia didn't need to be asked twice. She sat down on the floor, pulling out a simple ball from her backpack. Zilax, come play catch with me. The young Krathari looked at his father, who looked at Vexthul. The War Master nodded once. Zilax, still clutching Mr. Snuggles in one arm, sat down across from Mia. She rolled the ball to him. He caught it, confused. Now roll it back, Mia encouraged. We take turns. That's how the game works. Zilax rolled it back. Mia laughed. Good. Okay, now faster. For the next 5 minutes, an entire assembly of warriors, diplomats, and officials watched two children play catch, watched Mia laugh when Zilax threw wild, watched her show him how to bounce it, watched Zilax's face, still tear-stained, slowly, tentatively, begin to change. He smiled. It was small, uncertain, like a muscle that had never been used, but it was there. By the ancestors, one of Korvax's warriors breathed. I haven't seen a young one smile since we separated you from your mother at birth, Vexthul finished, his voice quiet and strange. Since we taught you that emotional expression was failure, since we built an empire on the principle that connection is weakness? War Master? Korvax's voice was hoarse. Vexthul watched Mia teaching Zilax to count in human numbers as they played, watched her effortless compassion, her complete lack of fear, her genuine concern for a child from a species she'd met yesterday. I have commanded fleets for 3 centuries, Vexthul said slowly. I have conquered 47 systems. I have reduced civilizations to ash, and I am watching a human child accomplish what our entire cultural system cannot. She is making a Krathari youngling feel safe. They teach their offspring empathy, Korvax said, deliberately, as a core value. That should produce weakness. But Vexthul sounded uncertain now. That's what I thought, Korvax admitted. But War Master, look at her. She approached me, a fully armed Krathari commander, without fear. She challenged our entire cultural framework without hesitation. She sacrificed her own possession to comfort my son. That is not weakness. That is... He struggled for the word. Courage, Jennifer supplied. We teach our children that real strength isn't the absence of fear. It's choosing compassion despite it. We teach them that protecting those who can't protect themselves is the highest form of bravery. Another of the honor guard made a sound. I remember, he said, voice cracking. I remember being 5 cycles old, after they took us from our mothers. I remember crying in the dark. I remember wanting... He stopped, as if the memory was too painful. Wanting someone to comfort you, Vexthul finished. Wanting someone to tell you the pain would ease. Wanting... His massive frame seemed to sag slightly. Wanting exactly what this human child gave to Zilax. We broke our own children, Korvax whispered. For 3,000 years, we've been breaking them, calling it strength. Mia, hearing the conversation quiet, looked up. Zilax, are you having fun? The young Krathari nodded, still gripping Mr. Snuggles. Good, Mia beamed. See, playing with friends is better than being sad alone. War Master Vexthul, Supreme Commander of the Krathari War Fleet, conqueror of systems, destroyer of empires, looked at this 8-year-old human child and felt something he hadn't experienced in 287 years. His worldview cracked, and through that crack, light poured in. Phase 4, Revelation and Resolution. War Master Vexthul stood silent for a long moment, watching Mia and Zilax. Then he did something that made every Krathari in the room stiffen in shock. He lowered himself to one knee, bringing his massive frame closer to human eye level. Jennifer Rodriguez, he said formally, you are an educator of human young, yes? I'm a 3rd-grade teacher, Jennifer confirmed cautiously. I request... He paused, and the words seemed to physically pain him. War Masters did not request, they commanded. I request that you explain to me, in detail, how humans raise their offspring, how you create this. He gestured to Mia, who was now showing Zilax how to play rock, paper, scissors. Jennifer blinked. You want a lesson on human child development? I need to understand how your species produces individuals capable of such. He watched Mia laugh as Zilax's clawed hand accidentally made what she called rock, paper, scissors lizard. Such fearless compassion. Jennifer looked at Ambassador Thorin, who nodded encouragingly, then at Station Commander Wei, who just looked bewildered. She took a breath. Okay, human children are born completely helpless, more so than most species actually. For years, they're entirely dependent on caregivers. We don't see this as weakness, we see it as an opportunity. An opportunity for what? Korvax asked. To teach them they're not alone, that the world, despite its dangers, has people who will protect them, care for them, love them unconditionally. Jennifer's teacher voice emerged, clear and confident. We hold them when they cry. We comfort them when they're scared. We celebrate their joy and sit with them in their sadness. We teach them that emotions aren't enemies to conquer. They're part of being alive. But this creates dependency, one of the honor guard protested. Weakness that enemies can exploit. Does it? Jennifer gestured to Mia. My daughter walked up to a Warfleet commander without fear. She challenged a cultural system she didn't even understand. She gave away something precious because someone needed it more. That's not dependency. That's strength built on a foundation of security. We have snacks, Mia announced, pulling containers from her backpack. Zilax, do you like crackers? These ones are cheese-flavored. Oh, and I have apple slices. My mom cuts them up for me. She distributed food with the casual authority of a child used to sharing. Mr. Warmaster, do you want some? There's plenty. Vexthul stared at the offered crackers like they were quantum anomalies. You share your sustenance, with outsiders, with potential threats. You're not threats, you're just people I haven't had snacks with yet, Mia said, echoing something Jennifer had told her once. Mom says sharing food is how you make friends. Watch, Jennifer said softly. Watch how naturally it comes to her. They watched. Mia showed Zilax how to eat apple slices with peanut butter, showed him how to make cracker sandwiches. When Zilax struggled with the human food, she patiently demonstrated, laughing with him, not at him. When he accidentally crushed a cracker in his clawed hand, she just shrugged and said, That's okay, now it's cracker crumbs. Those are good too. Zilax laughed. Actually laughed, a chittering, clicking sound that made Korvax's hands tremble. Korvax's voice broke. I have not heard him laugh since his mother lived. I thought I had lost that part of him forever. You didn't lose it, Jennifer said gently. You just taught him to hide it. There's a difference. Another warrior stepped forward, younger than the others, his scales still bright with youth. Warmaster, I must speak. I have a daughter. 3 cycles old. Last week, I found her crying in her training cell. I followed protocol. I left her there to develop emotional control. His voice cracked. But I could hear her, through the walls, and I stood outside her door for hours, listening to her cry, and every instinct I did not know I possessed screamed at me to go to her. As it should have, Jennifer said. That instinct isn't weakness. It's biology telling you that children need protection, comfort, connection. You can't train that away. You can only traumatize children by denying it. I have a son, another warrior admitted. 6 cycles. He has nightmares. Training protocols say to ignore them, that acknowledging them reinforces weakness. But what if? What if we are the ones creating the nightmares? Vexthul's expression had become something complicated and painful. Commander Korvax is my son, he said, and several humans gasped. I have not spoken to him outside of military capacity in 40 cycles. I raised him according to tradition, separation at birth, isolation training, emotional suppression. He became the finest warrior of his generation. He paused. And I never asked if he still had nightmares from his childhood training, because asking would be acknowledging weakness. Do you, Jennifer asked Korvax directly, still have nightmares? The commander's jaw worked. Around them, 500 warships waited in space, their crews listening to every word via the open channel Vexthul had established. This wasn't a private conversation. It was being broadcast to every Krathari vessel. Yes, Korvax finally said. Every night of being 3 cycles old. Alone in the dark. Crying for a mother I could no longer remember but still needed. I dream that I'm still there, and no one is coming. The silence that followed was absolute. The human child broke our protocols, Vexthul said, and his voice carried through every speaker on every ship. She approached a Krathari youngling in distress. She offered comfort. She shared her possession. She violated every principle we have built our empire upon. He paused, and in doing so, she showed us what we have lost, what we have deliberately cut out of ourselves for 3,000 years. War Master, one of the honor guard's voice was uncertain. We came here expecting to punish a violation, to extract blood debt for cultural contamination. Vexthul stood to his full height. But there is no contamination. There is only clarity. A human child, 8 years old, understood what our entire warrior culture could not. That strength without compassion is not strength at all. It is merely cruelty wearing strength's armor. The fleet, Korvax said. 500 ships. War Master, they were not all under your direct command. How did... Every vessel came voluntarily, Vexthul said. When word spread that a human juvenile had approached a Krathari youngling with kindness, that she had comforted him in his grief, do you know what happened? Warriors across the fleet began to remember being children, remember the isolation, the fear, the desperate need for someone, anyone, to tell them they were not alone. His voice roughened. Every ship out there carries warriors who are also parents, who watch their own offspring suffer through the same training that nearly broke them, who wondered, in the darkest nights, if there was another way. You brought them to witness, Jennifer breathed, not to punish. I brought them to witness, Vexthul confirmed, because if one human child could show such courage, such compassion, such fundamental rightness, then perhaps everything we have built is wrong. He turned to Mia, who was helping Zilax carefully fold up the snack containers. Mia, daughter of Jennifer Rodriguez, the Krathari Empire declares an honor debt to you. You have given us a gift beyond value. You have shown us our children's pain, and in doing so, you have given us the chance to heal it. Does that mean Zilax can come over for a playdate? Mia asked hopefully. Because I have a really cool treehouse and I bet he'd like it. Oh, and we could have more snacks. My dad makes really good cookies. Vexthul made a sound that might have been a laugh or a sob. You offer further kindness. Even after we threatened your home. Well, yeah. You didn't know Zilax was okay. Mia shrugged with 8-year-old logic. Now you do. So now we can all be friends. That's how it works. That is how it works, Vexthul repeated wonderingly. He looked at Jennifer. We need your help, not as treaty partners, not as allies in war. We need you to teach us how to raise our children without breaking them. Will you do this? On one condition, Jennifer said. She walked over and knelt beside Zilax. Sweetheart, would you like Mr. Snuggles to stay with you? Really stay, not just borrowed. Zilax looked at the teddy bear, then at Mia, his eyes wide. It's okay, Mia said, smiling. He's yours now. Friends give each other things they need. Zilax clutched Mr. Snuggles tight and made a sound that needed no translation. That's my condition, Jennifer said to Vexthul. Your children matter. Their feelings matter. Their happiness matters. If you can truly accept that, then yes, humanity will help. War Master Vexthul looked around at his warriors who were also parents, who carried their own childhood scars, who watched Mia and Zilax with something like hunger in their eyes. Then let us begin, he said. Today, the Krathari Empire learns a new kind of strength. 3 months later, the diplomatic station had been transformed into something nobody could have predicted, a laboratory for cross-species childhood development. Jennifer stood in what had once been a formal conference hall, now converted into a play space that would have given safety inspectors nightmares. Krathari children, 12 of them, ranging from 3 to 8 cycles, were learning something their species hadn't done in 3,000 years. They were playing tag. "Zillax, you're it!" Mia squealed, darting around a padded column. Her voice came through both in person and via the holographic display where she video called with him 3 times a week when he was back on the Krathari homeworld. Zillax, stronger, faster, and with actual claws, carefully tagged a smaller human child with the gentleness Mia had taught him. "Now you are it, Tommy!" Mia's 5-year-old brother shrieked with delight and took off after a young Krathari girl who was still learning that laughing while running was allowed. Around the perimeter, Commander Korvac stood with 50 other Krathari warriors, parents all, watching their children experience something they'd never had. Several had their hands pressed to the transparent barrier, as if trying to reach through to their own childhoods. Physical play develops spatial awareness and tactical thinking, Jennifer was explaining to a group of Krathari educators, her data pad full of lesson plans she'd adapted 17 times. But more importantly, it teaches children to read social cues, to moderate their strength, to experience joy in physical activity. The combat applications are secondary to the emotional development. One of the Krathari educators, Anna, who'd been studying human teaching methods with the intensity of a military campaign, nodded. "We are implementing this across 43 training facilities now. The results are..." She paused. "War Master Vexthul will want to hear your latest report." As if summoned, Vexthul emerged from a side corridor. His flagship was now home to the 1st Krathari Child Development Division, a phrase that hadn't existed in their language 3 months ago. Trailing behind him were medical officers carrying data pads full of statistics. "Mrs. Rodriguez," Vexthul greeted her with the slight head bow that had become his standard acknowledgement. "The numbers from the latest review are remarkable. Juvenile suicide rates have decreased by 67%. Training efficiency has increased by 40%. Combat readiness scores among warriors with offspring have improved across all metrics." "Because they're not carrying trauma anymore," Jennifer said. "Or at least, they're learning not to pass it on. Healthy children become healthy adults. It's not complicated." "It is revolutionary," Vexthul corrected. "The Council debates it daily. The traditionalists call it weakness. But they cannot argue with results. Warriors who were raised with your human childhood protocols are outperforming their predecessors in every measurable way. And more importantly," he gestured to the playing children, "they smile, they laugh. They are becoming what we forgot our children could be." "Fierce and happy," Jennifer said, echoing something she'd told Vexthul in their first official consultation. "Not fierce or happy, both." "Mom," Mia ran over, slightly out of breath, her pigtails askew. "Mom, can we get pizza after this? All this running around makes you super hungry, and I told everyone about pizza, and now they all want to try it." Jennifer laughed. "Pizza for 12 Krathari children and their parents." "Mia, that's an excellent diplomatic initiative," Korvac said, approaching with Zillax at his side. The commander had been attending every one of these sessions, learning alongside his son. "I will arrange it. And Mrs. Rodriguez, I need to tell you something." He knelt down, something he'd learned from watching Jennifer with children, bringing himself to Mia's level. "You saved more than my son. You saved our future. Every child here, every child in the new protocols across our empire, they will grow up knowing that strength includes compassion, that warriors can be whole, that it is acceptable to need others." His voice roughened. "You did this. An 8-year-old human with a stuffed bear did what 3,000 years of Krathari evolution could not." Mia looked uncomfortable with the serious tone. "I just saw Zillax was sad. That's not special, that's just being nice." "That," Jennifer said softly, putting her hand on her daughter's shoulder, "is what she does, what human children do. They see someone who needs a friend, and they become that friend. It's really that simple." Nothing about this is simple, Vexthul said. But perhaps that is the point. We made everything complicated. Strength, honor, training, tradition. You showed us that the most important things are simple. Comfort the crying child. Share your food, play together, laugh together. He paused. Every Krathari vessel now carries what we call a protocol reminder. Would you like to see it? He pulled up a holographic display. There, rendered in careful detail and transmitted across the entire fleet, was an image, a small human girl and a young Krathari sitting together. Between them, a worn teddy bear. Mr. Snuggles had become the symbol of the Krathari cultural revolution. Zilax still has the original, Korvax said. He sleeps with it every night. When he has nightmares, and he still does sometimes, he holds it and remembers that someone cared enough to give him comfort. That memory has value beyond measure. Speaking of value, Station Commander Wei announced over the intercom, the Galactic Council just updated first contact protocols. Human children are now officially classified as intuitive diplomatic assets. Something about how they can bridge cultural gaps in ways trained diplomats can't. That's a fancy way of saying kids are nice to each other, Mia observed. Then she brightened. Oh, Mom, my birthday's in 2 weeks. Can everyone come? Can Zilax come? Can all my new friends come? We can have cake and games and… Your birthday party is going to require security clearances now? Jennifer asked, half joking. I will arrange appropriate protocols, Vexthul said, completely seriously. A celebration of the human child who changed the Krathari Empire is an event of cultural significance. It's just a birthday party, Mia protested. It's never just anything with you, Jennifer said, pulling her daughter into a hug. Come on, let's go get that pizza. And yes, your Krathari friends can come to your birthday party. As they gathered the children and headed out, a chaotic, laughing group of humans and Krathari, with warriors trailing behind looking bemused and hopeful, Jennifer caught Korvax's eye. Thank you, he said simply, for teaching us what we'd forgotten, that children are not weapons to be forged, they are people to be loved. You're welcome, Jennifer said, but Korvax? You're the ones doing the hard work. Changing an entire culture? That takes courage, real courage. We learned courage from your daughter, he replied, who taught us that the bravest thing you can do is care. Ahead of them, Mia was chattering with Zilax and the other children about birthday party plans, something about a bounce house and whether Krathari could eat chocolate cake. They could, it turned out, and they loved it. Tommy was explaining his theory about the best kind of pizza toppings to a young Krathari who listened with the intensity her species brought to everything. Mom, Mia called back, can we make extra party bags? Because I want everyone to have a stuffed animal like Mr. Snuggles. Everyone should have something to hug when they're sad. Jennifer smiled. Yeah, sweetie, we can do that. Behind them, visible through the station's viewports, 500 Krathari warships held position, not as a threat, not as an occupation force, as witnesses to the revolution started by one 8-year-old girl who saw a crying child and decided to help. The galaxy would never be quite the same, and it had all started with a teddy bear and the simple human instinct to comfort those who hurt. Pizza, Mia announced. And then we need to plan the best birthday party ever, one that humans and Krathari will love. That, Vexthul said, watching her bounce ahead with impossible energy, should be interesting. Jennifer laughed. With Mia, everything was interesting, and now the Krathari were learning that interesting was far better than the cold, lonely strength they'd mistaken for power. The end.